ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome to our Saturday morning session. We shall continue to discuss the Purush Sukt of Rigved. So far we saw that the Purush, the meaning the Lord, the Supreme Lord, has thousands of heads, thousands of feet, thousands of hands, which is only an indicative. It basically means infinite number of heads, feet, and hands. And he is pervading the entire universe. The whole universe is his manifestation. It is nothing but the Supreme Lord alone. Then we saw that 1/4 of his power is being used to manifest this universe, and 3/4 remains non-manifest. So this is in fact only a small part of its overall potency is being used for this entire universe, which we see with trillions of stars and planets all around us. In fact, the scientists believe that there could be trillions of galaxies, and each galaxy is having millions of stars, and each star having its own planetary system like the solar system. So, such a vast, infinite universe is a reflection only of 1/4 of the potency of the Supreme Lord. Then we also saw that the Supreme Lord has actually given birth to Adhipurus. Adhipurus is like Brahma, who is responsible for day-to-day manifestation of the universe. So this is what has been explained so far in the Purush Sukta. Now we'll go further down and we will see how the process of creation or how the process of manifestation of this universe continues. We have seen modern theories of science. They talk about Big Bang. There's also theory by Charles Darwin that is, the theory of evolution, that everything evolved from the matter. A combination of matter gave birth to a cell and then they multiplied. Now, all those theories actually, in fact, they look foolish compared to what has been explained in the Vedic science. Because it is very clear that an inert, for example, a mountain cannot become a human being even if you keep it for billions of years in that state. So that negates the theory of Charles Darwin that the matter evolved into, life force. The matter and the life force are two different entities, and they both originate from the Lord. The Brahma, which is the Supreme Lord, created Prakriti, which is the material world, and Purush, which is the living species of life. And this has also been reaffirmed by Lord Krishna in variety of ways in Bhagavad Gita, including chapter 7 and chapter 15. So the process of creation has been explained in great detail in Purush Sukta, but it has also been explained in greater detail in Bhagavad Puran. So we'll have a look at that also briefly subsequently. Right now, let us go to mantra number 6 of Purush Sukta. The divine Purus continued the process of creation with the Supreme Lord in the substratum, using spring as the clarified butter, summer as the fuel, and autumn as the offering of that yajna. Now, each of these mantras, they explain the profoundness of the process of creation or process of manifestation. I want to avoid the word creation because creation gives an impression that the Lord is separate from the creation. It's like a potter and the pot. But this is the word which is used very often in modern literature, and therefore I cannot avoid it completely. But in the Indian literature or Indian writings, it is called Srasti. Srasti is actually unfolding of the Supreme Lord Himself. A part of the Supreme Lord unfolds as the nature, as the universe, and that is what this sukta is saying. That one fourth of the Supreme Lord unfolded as the entire universe. Now this explains further that Adipurus is Brahma who is in charge of day-to-day activities of the creation. Now he continued the process of creation, yajna. The word has been used, yajna. Now yajna is a very profound word in Sanskrit literature. It basically means that you do certain things for creating something new. Like in science, you mix two chemicals to create a new chemical. Similarly, in the yajna, you use certain forces of nature to create something new. So it's the natural process of creation. But yajna also implies that you do it without any desire of self fulfillment or self ego. That is yajna. Yajna is without any desire for self ego. So, this divine Purus that was created by the Supreme Lord Brahman, he continued the process of creation further by using spring as clarified butter. Now, these three examples spring as clarified butter, summer as fuel, and autumn as offering are very important. There are two things here. The first is that the nature has been used by the Adipurus, by the divine Purus, to continue this process further. So, this is the combination of nature and the life force two together. The second is that clarified butter provides life. In the spring, the life comes forward. The flowers bloom, the animals breed, all the life comes back. After the winter, the spring comes and the life starts blooming again. It's the regeneration of life. And that regeneration happens because spring works as clarified butter. When you put the butter in the lamp, clarified butter means ghee in the lamp starts burning properly. When the quantity of ghee is less, it doesn't burn properly, but when you add more ghee, it starts giving the light all around. So that is the meaning here, that the spring provides a new bloom. The life, it starts blooming. It starts expanding in the spring. This is what happens. Summer as fuel. Now, summer is actually the fertility comes from the summer. You see what we do? The farmers, when they, after the harvesting, they open up the field and they leave it in the heat. When the heat goes inside the earth, it actually adds to the fertility. So the source of fertility in the earth is the heat. Similarly, here, fuel. Fuel is the power of the fuel, the power of the clarified butter, the ghee, comes from the heat, from the summer. So it is very properly used by in this mantra that the summer provides the heat, and that heat is used in the form of ghee for lighting the lamp. And then autumn as offering. In autumn, all the leaves are you know shed by the trees, and that's the offering. Offering means you make a sacrifice. You offer something to get something else. So that is the offering of the yajna. So the yajna has been explained that you offer the autumn in which all the leaves are shed, and then you add clarified water, which is further, made more, potent and powerful with the summer heat. So this is the process. This is basically indicating that the combination of the divine purus and the natural forces that continues to advance the process of creation. So this is what has been explained in mantra number 6. Now mantra number 7. The first divine man were created as the holy water was sprinkled with kusha grass in the process of creation, in the process of yajna. The word creation in here has been used for yajna. They were the Sadhya, Devaj, and Rishis who were created directly by the divine Purus. Now, this is the first step towards manifestation of life. The divine Purus manifested three variety of people directly. These are Sadhya. Sadhya means sadhu, the people who are absolutely under self-control. Devas, the powerful, forces, and the rishis, the saints who are providing example to the humanity. So these three forces, sadhus, devas, and rishis, they were created first with the sattvic tattva of the nature. The sattvic tattva of the nature was used to create these things first. Like when the river originates in the mountains, it is the most pure, the water is the purest at the time of origin. Slowly, slowly it becomes dirty and dirtier and dirtier. Similarly, at the time of first origin, these three variety of life or three variety of humanity which was created, these were the three varieties, devas, rishis, and sadhus, who were the first creation who came from the sattvic potency of the nature. So this is the beginning of the creation. This is how it happened. And then other forces came into being, which is now in next mantra, mantra number 8. Birds, wild animals who live in forest, domestic animals who live in towns, and ghee and curd appeared following the further offering of the process of creation, yajna. Now, the whole process of creation has been described as yajna. Like in Samudra Manthan, the Manthan is yajna, and then variety of forces appear after that Manthan. Similarly, here, the Adhipurus, the divine Purus, is engaged in this Manthan and in this yajna process of yajna. So he first created those divine forces, and then he created birds, animals, and domestic animals, and those domestic animals provided ghee and curd and milk and all other products. So that process of creation continued in this way. So that is further expansion. Then After that, when the human being, when the animals, birds, and other forces were created, after that, what happens? After that, verse number or mantra number 9, the Rig Ved and the Sam Ved and the Chandas, Gayatri Chand, and the Yajur Ved were born following the final offering process of the creation. These Vedas, they explain that the knowledge was born, that the light gave birth to the knowledge. Because once the animals and the humans have been created, natural forces have come into being, they need to be enlightened. Otherwise, they will not be able to, behave properly. And particularly the human beings who have higher intellect and higher power of mind, they should be given knowledge. And for that purpose, the Rig Ved, the Sam Ved, the Yajur Ved, and variety of chandas, they were created to keep them, absolutely in pure form, to provide them good knowledge so that they can conduct themselves properly and provide an example to the rest of the living being to behave in a proper manner in this universe. So, this is how the process continues. And this process has been explained in other mantras. But before we go there, I want to go to the Skand 3 of Bhagavad Puran, where this process has been explained in greater detail. In Purush Sukta has given the what you call the foundational knowledge or the indicative knowledge or the what you can call them the keywords for this process of creation or unfolding of the universe. But in Bhagavad Puran, uh, it is the chapter 10. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Puran, chapter 10 of the Skand 3. It actually explains the entire process of creation. This is the most scientific explanation I have seen anywhere. And we will start with verse number 1 and then we will go briefly from verse number 23 onwards. Now it begins like this. Actually, Vidur is engaged in conversation uh, on this process. So Vidur said, what he said, "O great sage, please tell me know how, please tell me know how Brahma, the grandfather of the planetary inhabitants, created the bodies of living entities from his own body and mind after the disappearance of the supreme personality of the Godhead." This is after the disappearance of Lord Krishna. When Lord Krishna disappeared, how the supreme personality who was named as Brahma continued the process of creation and how from his own body he manifested different varieties of living beings. And this has been explained from mantra number 13 onwards in greater detail. Now, let me go here. Now, let's start from verse number 12. I'll go briefly because our purpose is to go into the what you call the profound depth which has been explained by our ancestors on the entire process of creation. I really wish that this should become the part of modern science education, how the creation has happened. And then you will realize that the modern theories of Big Bang or Charles Darwin and whatever others are, they look actually stupid because this explains in greater detail how the creation has happened. So I'll just go very briefly on this. Verse number 12 of this is Skand 3 and this is chapter 10 of Bhagavad Puran. This cosmic manifestation is separated from the Supreme Lord as material energy by means of Kal. Kal is the time, which is the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Lord. The time is also unmanifested feature of the Lord, and this time separates the cosmic manifestation from the Supreme Lord. It is situated as the objective manifestation of the Lord under the influence of the same material energy of Lord Vishnu. Now he explains further nine variety of creations, how it happened. The cosmic manifestation as it is now, it was the same in the past and it will continue in the same way in the future. So whenever the yuga changes, the same process comes into being, and with the same process, the universe is manifested and remanifested and remanifested. This process continues forever without change. This is what has also been explained in Bhagavad Gita, that the process of unfolding of the universe remains the same, but every yuga it has to be repeated. Now, next verse. There are nine different kinds of creations beside the one which naturally occurs due to interaction of the modes. Modes is the Sat, Raj and Tam, these three varieties of modes which are in the nature. So there are certain variations which happen because of the interaction of the modes, but then there are nine principal kinds of creation which happen or which have been done by the divine Purus. There are three kinds of annihilation due to eternal time. They also explain the annihilation, how the universe gets dissolved back into Brahma. There's a three variety of that, but we are not going into that right now. The material elements and the quality of one's work. So this is what you call verse number 14 of chapter 10 of Khand 3 or Skand 3 of Bhagavad Puran. Now, verse number 15. Of the nine creations, the first one is the creation of the Mahat Tattva, of the sum total of the material ingredients, wherein the modes interact due to the presence of the Supreme Lord. In the second, the false ego or the ahankar is generated, in which the material ingredients, material knowledge, and material activities arise. Now, this is the beginning. How it begins? It begins with Mahat Tattva. We saw that in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13 and chapter 15 also, very clearly mentioned. We discussed that in great detail, that the first element of material world which is created is called Mahat Tattva, which is the atom of all atoms. That is created first. And from that ingredient, that the first creation, the three modes of nature, that the Sat, Raj and Tam, these three are created. And from this arises what we call Ahankar, ego. Because Ahankar is important to divide the whole into sub-parts. If I don't have Ahankar or ego, I cannot be a separate entity. The whole will be one. So the Supreme Lord is one single entity. And to create multiple entities out of one single entity, you have to create ego. And that is the ego which is created uh, after Mahat Tattva with the help of Satraj Tam, these three qualities of nature. And then with the interaction of what you call material ingredients, material knowledge, and material activities, the whole creation moves forward. So these are the first two creations here explained in this verse of Bhagavad Puran. Then the third creation is the sense perceptions are created in the third. Sense perception is basically tanmatraj, five tanmatraj, which we discussed. They are the third creation, which arise from the physical, you know, not physical, but Mahat and ego. So this is the third element which comes into play. And these five tanmatraj, they give birth to the fourth creation, which is creation of knowledge and working capacity. How do we get knowledge and working capacity? Because of our sense organs. Because the sense organs provide us the what you call sensible perception of the outside world, and then it leads to knowledge. So the knowledge and working capacity, because without sense organs, we cannot have knowledge, we cannot work, we cannot, actually operate in any way. So the sense perceptions, the five senses of perception, five senses of action, these 10 senses lead to what we call fourth creation, which is the creation of knowledge and working capacity. So you see, these are the four creations here. Then the fifth creation is that of controlling deity by the interaction of the mode of goodness, of which the mind is the sum total. So the fifth creation is the mind. You have created the organs, sense organs, but the controlling deity of sense organs is the mind. So mind is the fifth creation, which comes out of the sattvic tattva. Mode of goodness is sattvic element of the nature that gives birth to mind. And the sixth creation is darkness. You get the mind, you get the knowledge, but you also have darkness. Without darkness, you can't have a distinction between knowledge and darkness. So the darkness is the sixth creation, which comes from the other mode, that is the tamasic mode of nature. So this is the sixth creation which comes into act. This is a very fine description. One has to analyze each of these verses in profound way to understand the depth of these verses, because this is uh, the most profound explanation of the universe, how it came into existence. Then we go to the next creation. You see, they're talking about 9 variety of creations, and we have come up to the sixth one so far. Now let's go to the seventh. All the above are natural creation by external energy of the Lord. Because whatever creation we have seen so far, that is Mahat Tattva, ego, and then the sense organs and the mind and other forces, they are what we call aparashakti of the Supreme. This is the external power. This is not the parashakti, not the real power of the Supreme, not the substantive power. It's the external power which has given birth to all these six. Now hear from me the creation by Brahma, who is an incarnation of the mode of passion, and who, in the matter of creation, has a brain like that of the Brahma. Hmm? So he is explaining that Brahma, who is engaged in the further creation, also has the similar brain as that of Brahma, and he continues that passion because he is full of passion, so he continues with his activities of creation further. Now, Brahma can be described as a force or as an energy or a power which is engaged in the creation. So, this is how it is explained in verse number 18. Now, verse number 19. The seventh creation is that of immovable entities, which are the six kinds. Now, immovable entities, these are not moving, but they are not without life. They have life, but not moving like the human being or animals. These are six varieties: the fruit trees without flowers, the trees and plants which exist until the fruit is ripe, creepers, pipe plants, creepers which have no support, and trees with flowers and fruits. So these are the six varieties of non-movable entities which have been created as the seventh creation by Brahma or by the divine Purus, Adi Purus. Then the next creation, all the immovable trees and plants seek their subsistence upwards. Very clearly explained. They are almost unconscious but have feeling of pain within. They are manifested in variegatedness. Now, this verse is explaining the qualities of the immovable entities, which are of six varieties. So all the plantation, all the trees, all the vanaspati has been actually categorized in six different variations, and all these variations, they seek their subsistence upwards because they go upwards. All the trees, plants, these creepers, they all go upwards. Eh, they are almost unconscious but have some feeling of pain. They also have the feeling of pain, and that is why we always say don't pluck the fruit in the night because the plant is sleeping. Otherwise, they will feel the pain of the plucking the tree. You must have heard from our, older generation that we are not supposed to disturb the sleep of the plants in the night. So we don't water them in the night. We, water them only in the morning. We don't pluck their fruits and their leaves or disturb them in the night because they also have pain if we disturb them in the night. Then the verse number 21. The eighth creation is that of lower species of life, and they are of different varieties, numbering 28. Lower species of life have been categorized in 28 different varieties. They are generally ignorant, they are not very intelligent. They know their desirables by smell, but are unable to remember anything within their heart. They smell the food and they know what has to be eaten, but they do not remember much of it in their heart or in their mind because their mind is limited. So there are 28 varieties of different animals and other species. Now they have been also further categorized that there are lower animals of uh, cow, goat, buffalo, Krishna stag, hog, gavaya animal, deer, lamb, camel, who have two hooves. They are animals which have two hooves in their feet. That is one variety of animals. Then there are animals which have five nails, panchnakha animals. That is another variety. Then there are, animals uh, uh, which have three nails. So all this has been explained in great detail here. The 28 different varieties of animals and birds have been explained in these verses which are going further down, 20 up to 25, 26. Like verse number uh, 24 talks about the dog, jackal, tiger, fox, cat, rabbit, sajaru, lion, monkey, elephant, tortoise, alligator, gosapa, etc. All have 5 nails in their claws. Panch, panchnakhaj, animals with 5 nails. So this is how they have been explained. And then the last creation, the ninth creation, we have gone up to the eighth, ninth creation is that of the human being. The creation of human being who are the one of the species only, one of their own, who stokes their eatables in the belly, who stokes the food in the belly, is the ninth in the rotation of the creation. In the human race, the mode of passion is very prominent. Humans are always busy in the midst of miserable life, but they think themselves happy in all respects. So, this, I'm just taking it in a very, what you call, cursory manner, this whole process. But if you read this chapter of Skand 3 of Bhagavad Puran, it gives you very profound knowledge about the creation. And this is not an order in which they have been created. All the creation in the universe came simultaneously. It is not that the first single cell was created and then double cell and then the 5 cell and then bird and then this and that. It is not like that. The entire creation was done by the Adipurus, by Brahma, in his passion for creation of this universe. And he manifested all this creation in his own body. And these nine, uh, segments or 9 parts of the creation, uh, uh, they they are not like one followed after another. But yes, in a way, you can say that also. Like the Mahat Tattva came first, and then the ego came, and then the sense organs came, Tanmatraj came, and then the sense organs came, and then the physical nature came, and then further details continued further down. You can say that briefly, but it is not sequential. It is simultaneous as well. All the living beings came into being simultaneous. It is not that the animal became human more. It is not that way. It is not evolution from animal to human or one cell to multiple cell. This is part of the overall creation which was undertaken by the Supreme Lord, for which he authorized Adipurus, the divine Purus, and which is called Brahma, and who undertook all this process. So this is what has been explained in Bhagavad Puran in detail. I have not gone into the, what you call depth of those descriptions, but just to give you an idea that how profound this knowledge is about the entire creation. So what they have explained here, this process of yajna, yajna uh, uh, is performed by the divine Purus to create this universe. To create this universe, he mixes and matches variety of things, and then the universe comes into being. And then the Rig Veda, Sam Veda, Thar Veda, Yajurveda came into being. And then he here also in this sukt also there is reference how it happened. So we'll deal with that in the next session. But what I wanted to tell you today that our Shastras, our writings, the Vedas and the Puranas and the Bhagavad Gita, they provide a very profound analysis of the entire process or processes of the unfolding of this universe, how it has unfolded and how it will annihilate, because that process has also been explained in Bhagavad Puran. three varieties of annihilation, how that happens, and how the vilay happens with Brahma again, and then again it comes back. At the end of the yuga, everything becomes one, and then in the beginning of the yuga, everything again comes into separate existence. So all this with profoundness of the variety of vegetation, variety of animals, all that has been explained in very scientific way in this sukta in brief, but in Bhagavad Puran in greater detail. So I'll conclude today's session with these words, and I would only reiterate that I wish this knowledge is imparted to all the universities and students of science who want to understand the nature of creation, who want to understand how the world has unfolded, how it came into existence, how it will continue, and how it will merge back from the entity where it came from, and how it operates. I wish this becomes part of our curriculum. Thank you.